Lynn. I'm the Assistant Director of Campus and Student Engagement here at Temple Ambler. I'm really excited today to talk to you about how to safely start a fire. There's all kinds of different fires. You can do one for warmth, you can do one for signaling, you can do one for how to, boil water or cook your whole meal, whether that's for sanitizing or just, having fresh water. Today we're just going to be focusing on building a very, very small fire, just the mechanics of how to build a fire. And even within that, there's all kinds of different methods you might do to build that actual fire. And today we're going to talk about just a few. All fires need a couple different elements to become fires. So one thing they are going to need is a fuel source. We're going to be using matches today. A good mark of a good outdoors person is a one-match fire. So we'll see if we are up for the challenge by the time we build this fire, if it's a one-match fire. You're also going to need oxygen. It's pretty windy out here. We tried to get shaded so that we are safe when we're building our fire and nothing gets blown around, but we've got definitely oxygen moving in the air, and you can also add your own breath. On that note though, when you are having a fire or building a fire, you do want to make sure that there is no fire watches or warnings in your area telling you that you can't have any. That's something we'll look for when we're having our campouts here at Temple Ambler, because there will be a couple different fires here. We will have fires for s'mores, for community, for fire telling stories, and for our pit firing from our friends at the Tyler School of Art and Architecture. So let's get started. Now that we know we have a fuel source, our matches, and our oxygen, we have a couple other things to consider. The first, when building a fire, we're going to need our tinder. So tinder is the first thing that catches. I like to use newspaper, maybe tissue paper. In this case, a brown paper bag rolled up into tiny strips is going to work really great. I am going to roll it so that it has multiple points of contact between itself to catch for flame and these tiny little sticks down here, which is the next step. Those would be our kindling. All right, so now that we've got our first layer of tinder on top of the kindling, I'm gonna start adding more kindling on top. So this is going to be a little bit of a matchup between a log cabin version where you lay the kindling between the tinder and a lasagna. So you've got the different layers matching on top of itself with room for oxygen to flow. For that kindling, you wanna make sure that it is super dry. So for all of your kindling, and when we get to the bigger logs, you want to make sure that when you break it, it breaks easily. You don't have to crack anything over your legs. That would be green wood. Green wood still has a lot of water molecules inside, and it would make it very difficult for it to breathe and catch on fire. It's the same reason we don't use newspaper from the comic section. That has a lot of ink on it, and it is not going to catch very well. All right, so I've got a pretty big mishmash right here. Now for me, for this particular fire, I was envisioning it for community, for warmth, maybe some songs. So I'm going to want it to be pretty contained. I believe it's gonna set up really well right now, and I believe it's gonna catch on with one match. Now I'm adding more for the fire to eat on. And I'm making sure it has air to keep eating. All right, so what we are seeing here is it has definitely caught all or almost all of the tinder. It is starting to catch most of the kindling. Might take a little bit for it to work through the water molecules that is in there, but we have some pretty steady flames. So after babying it a little bit more, we would, I think, have a pretty steady fire. You're noticing that I'm not still fanning it. There's not still any more oxygen going through it, and I'm certainly not adding anything, although I would just to be safe. The last step after a successful use of fire is to put it out. You want to be careful with steam. but you're going to slowly and carefully pour water. You can also do that with sand or dirt. There's a tiny little flame going right here, so you're going to add some more water. Good rule of thumb is if you put your hand over it and you can feel any heat anywhere, that fire is not out. This is incredibly important, especially in the heat of summer or fall, that you make sure your entire fire is out so you don't run the risk of starting a larger fire and affecting the natural world around you. So what did we learn? We learned that even when you think you're a really wonderful fire builder, sometimes it takes 3 matches or 4 matches or 5 matches. That's okay. We also learned the different parts of how to make a fire and the different terminology behind that, and how to put out a fire. And lastly, we learned that the Temple Ambler Campout is going to have several different types of fire, weather permitting. That includes the open pit fire firing from the Tyler School of Art and Architecture. We will have our s'mores and our campfire stories, and we're excited to welcome you all here for that event on September 27th through the 28th. See you then!